Hi, we're thrilled to bring you this conversation with Paul Crawford and Julie Fowler. You don't have to dig far to find their DNA in so many community-building aspects of the creative economy. Paul is the curator of the Penticton Art Gallery, well known for its diversity and quality of exhibitions. Julie Fowler recently stepped down after more than 2 decades as the executive director of the long-running Island Mountain Arts School in Wells, BC. She founded the BC Music Festivals Collective in 2020. And somewhere in there, she also wrote a historical fiction book. Welcome, Paul Crawford, Julie Fowler. Thank you so much for coming to Tempest and being part of this. Wine with the artistic director, or fuzzy water with the artistic director, always your choice. So, because of who you guys are, and because this wonderful winery has sponsored us in the past, we figured that Maverick was the most appropriate winery, and they're an estate winery, of course, so they grow their own grapes, and So this is beautiful. To you, amazing. Mavericks, who are gracing this community and joining us here at Tempest. So may I?
Please, thank you very much. Really an honor to be here.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll pour more later.
Oh, that's all perfect.
Nice. So, as I started to research, first of all, cheers.
Yeah, toast.
Cheers. Cheers.
Toast to all the amazing stuff
Cheers.
you're doing.
And
Thank
you.
Cheers.
Maverick, no doubt. Like, you go to research Paul Crawford and Julie. It's like, like, oh, wow. So, let's start with Artswells. So
Yeah.
Artswells, was the two of you co-founded it, or was it did you found it?
It's a complicated story. It's really Julie's baby, but I was doing a festival in Wells prior to that called the Women at Play Festival, and it was a 60-second performance festival. And so I'd been living in Wells since 1995 and was running that and tried to start my own art museum there in 1999, 2000, and ran a venue and started using art, music and theater and other things to get people in. It was, to me, it was sort of like the hook to get people into an art gallery and look at art when they're, in between, songs or whatever. They sort of idly look at the stuff on the wall. So I was running that, and then Julie came up. I think it was 2002 was the first time, or.
Well, I moved to Wells in 2003, but we already kind of had the idea for the festival and even the name. Island Mountain Arts, which is the umbrella organization that we ran the Artswells Festival under, and it had been running in Wells since 1977. So there was a long history that had been building with the arts in that community. I actually grew up in Vancouver also. I had never really gone much past Hope. It's like, oh, what's up there? The Fred Wells had built a beautiful community hall, this theater, school, a hospital, like all the housing, and many of these places were underutilized or falling into disrepair, and the arts kind of came in and so in terms of a space, when I saw it, the idea of a festival there and the fact that there was already an arts organization and community, it all started clicking. And
one of the neat things about Fred Wells, so when he built the town and designed it, it was really about building community. And so if you had two people who were equally skilled at a job, and one had a family or was able to play an instrument or had another creative outlet that would help build community, you would hire that person over the equally talented other individual, because he saw the value of art and community and culture in terms of social cohesion and everything else. And just, in a mining camp too, it kind of mellow people out, right? Give people an outlet to do stuff. So it was sort of built with culture and art as being a part of the ethos of the community in the 1930s when he developed laid out the whole town, all that. So that kind of thing has always been a part of an undercurrent of the whole community and stuff. So it's been kind of neat. And then all these hippies moved there in the 70s and created this arts organization because they wanted to learn how to do art. And then, over the years, every decade, there seems to be a subsequent wave of individuals that come in who want to do something else. And so, in the early 2000s, Julie and her crew from Montreal showed up. And
I haven't finished this yet, but I've read enough to know I want to finish it, which is so inspiring. It's so inspiring that this is the Grand Dames of the Caribou. It's so inspiring that you thought the book was going to be about one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had this visitation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So speak about that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. So the woman on the cover of the book is Vivian Cowan, and I originally set out to write a book about her daughter, Sonia Cornwall. I didn't know really about Vivian, and as the book starts out, I meet Sonia by going to her memorial service, and I just started dating Paul. So the book is creative nonfiction, and it's the story of me going to research the lives of these women artists who were working kind of in the 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way to when the memorial service was, and I was living in Wells, and Paul was down in Grand Forks at the time, running the Grand Forks Art Gallery, so it's kind of like we went on a date to Sonia Cornwall's funeral. And
romantic.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, we met, we collided there, and then it was this amazing experience of, it is a really interesting place to learn about someone because you hear stories of their life, and in this case they also had her paintings lining the walls of the 150-mile community hall, and so I learned a lot about Sonia Cornwall, and it made me want to learn more. And I was right at the time or soon after where I was coming up with an idea for my master's thesis in creative writing, and it all kind of just coalesced. And my background is art history and wanting to kind of take a different approach to art history, like I was talking about, like a more storytelling approach to make art more accessible rather than talk about it in kind of a more theory-based way. And so it all fit together, and of course it was in the area of the Caribou that I was also working, so being able to shed more light on this beautiful, rich history of art that had happened in the Caribou that wasn't very well documented. And so Sonia was who I set out to learn about, and then it started becoming more and more clear that the story was actually her mother.
So great.
And just the materials that became available to me, like Joseph Plaskett, who's passed on now, I had the great honor of being able to interview. He was in his 90s at the time, and he had met the mother, Vivian Cowan, at the Banff School in the 40s, and they had become friends, and he would come to the ranch and paint, and as did others like A.Y. Jackson. And Joseph Plaskett, he was great at keeping his archives, and he had kept every letter he had ever received from Vivian, and he gave them to me. This incredible, rich, archive of letters, and that was amazing to have, like 200 pages of letters from this woman, Vivian, and then as I kept digging, there was more at the BC archives, and then the funny part was actually, like, I'd already done my thesis had already gone in, and then it was months later that I got the opportunity to publish, and so it was about 2 weeks away from my final version having to go to the publisher, and I was doing one last trip up to see the family, and so I was doing a trip up there to just do a final kind of research trip, and the daughter, Mabel, says, "Oh, and maybe you'd like to look at this," and she puts out this box, and it was like a box this deep, and it was Vivian Cowan's autobiography that she had written. And I knew that she was writing an autobiography because she alluded to it in letters and things, but the family had never produced it for me, and I kind of didn't ask, and I wasn't sure why they didn't, but part of me, like, I think they kind of had the attitude, oh, that was just Granny, and thought maybe, she sometimes would, I don't know, exaggerate some of the stories from her life, or who knows what. And so that was quite a crazy moment, because suddenly I had, in her own words, and then on top of this manuscript was a letter from a publisher that said, it was from back in the 80s when she had put it forward. It was like, "Thank you very much, but no, we're not interested. It needs too much editing. Have a nice day." And I was like, okay, this was a woman who wanted her story out there, and I really felt like these moments and this information came to me kind of from beyond. You know, she was helping me to get this story told that she had tried to put out there herself.
I love that.
And it definitely made me feel very confident about putting the story out, because of course writing anything nonfiction and about a family that's not my family, even if it was my family, that also is, you know, I know any writer of nonfiction, and when you're writing about other people's lives, you know, there's sort of ethical questions. They're like, am I representing them properly? Do they want their story out there? Is all these kinds of things. And I really felt like, okay, this is a story that needs to be out there, and Vivian would want it out there. She tried to get it out there, and she couldn't get it out there. So
I love that so much. I mean, and another thing I was thinking as I was reading it was, I've spent a fair amount of time in Santa Fe, New Mexico, you know, and we're so celebrate Georgia O'Keeffe and that whole all of her, you know, and there's books and books and books and books and books and books and books, retrospectives, museum. I was like, oh, it is so refreshing to read about the talent in here, like right here, not you know, not always think, well, all the really great things happen in the United States or beyond, you know, but there's some really, and you said it so beautifully, there's some of the simplicity, these beautiful paintings on the wall. There's fold out tables and styrofoam, you know, like, and no pretense, but the art was at the essence of who these people were. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Really great. Well, I hope you write more, and I hope you both continue to, as energetically as I can't even imagine how much energy you guys exude, but contribute to the community and support the arts and elevate the arts and do what you do.
You know, for me, the greatest gift of it all, as you probably have, is connecting people, right? And it's sort of like, if I think of what are my transferable assets, well, I certainly wish I had a trade or something, but the greatest thing that I've had, and gift I've had in my life, is just meeting a lot of amazing people. And if you can take person A and person B and put them together and see something amazing happen, then
and collecting and seeing a lot of great art here
well,
today.
so blessed to have you here, and it's been really exciting to see all that you brought to the community and all that too. And certainly, you know, you're not you're stepping up and putting your own resources on the line and all that, and it's been a real breath of fresh air. And like I said, it's so wonderful to hear the impact that you made in the community and people who really connect to this venue and the work that you do here, and just how important it is for so many people. And you know, and you don't always get to hear that, but it's been really tremendous. And I'm sorry it's taken us so long to connect in a meaningful way and have a conversation.
Well, we filmed our first.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Well, cheers again.
Cheers. That was super